My name is Sandra, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hi, I'm Sandy Adamitis.
Hi, I'm Terry Sampson.
Terry,
Yes.
You know how I turned the Writers Hangout into the weather report?
Yeah.
Got a big one.
Okay.
Did you know that we have possibly a hurricane coming our way?
It's going to be exciting.
Hurricane Hillary. Hurricane Hillary.
Yeah.
I am over the moon excited.
Yeah.
Now, I know it's bad. Storms are bad.
Sure.
But for a rain lover, oh my goodness, I'm so excited. I haven't had time to kind of look at the pattern. Did you look into it?
Yes. It's going to work like this. So this is obviously a Pacific storm forming near Mexico, but off the coast
that seems logical.
Seems to be going north. It's going to go into Southern California by way of Mexico and then into San Diego. Now, when it shows up there, hold on to your seat with this one, 110 mile an hour winds.
Wow.
And a whole bunch of really fast moving water.
No, sir.
Yeah.
Will we get?
Well, apparently by the time it gets to Los Angeles, it's going to die down to like 35 miles an hour.
That is huge for Los Angeles.
Yeah, you can fly a kite. It's going to be fine.
Wow.
Yeah, a wet kite, though, because the water will be included. It won't go up for very long.
But yeah.
Up it'll go.
That's kite weather.
Yeah, it is. And as you know, everyone around here looks at this thing and says, when's the last time you remembered that it actually even rained in August? I don't remember.
Never.
No.
I
don't think it ever had.
No. I mean, I never wake up thinking, is it going to rain today?
No.
Never.
Yeah. This is going to rain terror is the only way I can relate to that thought in the morning.
Exactly.
But no, it'll be a nice 3-day affair of water. And you and I both know that the worst thing about Los Angeles in the past 10 years is that we've adopted a fire season.
Correct.
Which is a horrible thing.
It's very bad.
So if everything got a good dosing, right?
Yes.
It should be nice.
Yes.
Maybe we can
It'll help
skip
fire
it.
season.
Yeah.
Oh, skip. Skip is
Let's
good.
skip it. No one wants to.
Kind of skip
It's not
it.
the kind of season that you look forward to.
Exactly.
Fall's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Summer, beautiful.
My favorite month is November in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I agree.
You see buildings in the distance that you didn't even know existed. You see mountains. You go, oh, there's mountains behind the mountains.
Who knew?
That is fabulous.
Yeah, I kept hearing about them, but
yes.
The beauty of November too is that the heat is finally over.
%.
We can put a jacket on.
We can put a jacket on.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Jacket
exactly
weather.
it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it. So, Terry, today we're going to share with the writers something brand new. We're going to do the news.
Brought to you by Writers Hangout. So I'm going to start out by telling you that the real-life characters portrayed in the award-winning 2009 release, The Blind Side, are gathering together again, this time in a lawsuit by former NFL offensive lineman and guy who thought he was adopted, Michael Oher. Oher is charging that he made no money at all from the story about his life with the Tuohys while they and their children made millions. Yes.
Boo.
Let me pause here and ask, when I think of that, I go, why are the kids getting millions? They're just in
millions.
Millions. I mean, I've worked on things before in my life and didn't make millions. And these guys are just standing there.
Yeah, even Life Story Rights isn't going to get you millions.
Yeah, that's right. And they're in a house, and just because they're in there underneath the roof, they get a piece of it.
If this was a reality show, the kids don't even get paid.
No.
Only the parents.
Right, of course. And they're not even really, they're not in the age when this was this is happening.
Right.
They weren't anywhere near 18 or anything else.
So you have to think that the Tuohys, I mean, you're going to look out for your own kids, but it looks like they were really looking out for their own kids, but portraying that they were looking out for Michael.
It was apparently an even split, if you can imagine this.
That's not fair.
No, it seems wrong.
That's not fair.
Now, I know they did some really nice things, those two, let's say, according to the movie that I've watched. So I don't know why in the world they would be given this kind of dough. Let's start with the movie. What do you got on the movie?
Okay, here's the synopsis from the movie from IMDb. The Blind Side, which, as we know, Sandra Bullock, she won an Oscar for it, and Tim McGraw played Sean Tuohy. Lily Collins, Phil Collins' daughter of Emily in Paris, which everybody dumps on, but I do like it, played Collins Tuohy. Collins Tuohy. Isn't that interesting? Lily Collins played Collins Tuohy. Oh, both with S's. How did that happen? And then, of course, Jay Head played Sean Tuohy. There were two Seans, the dad and the son. And here's the synopsis. The story of Michael Oher, a homeless and traumatized boy who becomes an All-American football player and first-round NFL draft pick with the help of a caring woman and her family. So that's a synopsis.
The people that were involved with it now are getting paid. The first time around would have been by the person who wrote the story. They seem to have suggested that the payment was $14,000 apiece for that. And
so
Michael,
each person in the family got $14,000 for their
and
story
Michael.
rights. When was this movie?
2009.
2009. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think they probably got paid before that. You know how that works. If somebody writes a novel.
Sorry, I misunderstood. So it was $14,000 for the rights to write about them. We're not talking the movie yet.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a nice chunk of change.
Yeah. I think it was some kind of split. I'm still stunned at the idea of the kids getting money.
That's hard for you.
I mean, I've seen the movie. I feel like maybe I should have gotten the $14,000.
Exactly.
Well, I sat through the whole thing. So, and by the way, I would have done it, and imagine my name, Terry Tuohy. That would have worked out great. So the crux of this is twofold. I think we talked about this just briefly. Whether Ohr's reason for doing what he's doing now, suing the Tuohys, is because his heart was broken, that the family bond was broken, or that he really felt like he was cheated out of a whole bunch of money.
That is so interesting.
Yeah.
And it makes me even more interested in the story now that you said the heartbreak. How long has it been since he's talked to the Tuohys?
They haven't communicated, I don't think, in at least a decade.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's a mess there.
Yeah.
And right now, all we have are these tidbits to figure out what we think could have been the motive for him doing what he's doing. I can imagine that if he felt he had been adopted at the time and found out that in this general time period now that he had been not adopted and that instead he was bonded to the family with legal paperwork signed the time that he thought he was adopted at 18 or a few months after 18 years. Instead,
a few months after 18. That's interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? That's when a conservatorship was established, giving the Tuohys power to make decisions for him. And maybe that concept of, at some point now, made him feel bad. And maybe he wanted to get back at them.
Because he signed papers at some point after he turned 18. And it sounds like he thought he was being adopted.
Right.
But the Tuohys were actually adopting the potential money he was going to be making.
Well, yes, you could say that.
Is that me judging? Or,
well, the conservatorship can go either way. It's that they felt if we're going to help him get from one place to another, we'll be paying the lawyer fees. We're going to take him. He's going to.
Yeah.
Can he go to a college and play football? Turns out he could. Was he great? Could he go to the NFL? Turns out that as well. Maybe they were creating a path for him to be financed enough to get through these things. These are always expensive situations with lawyers and agents and stuff.
Now, Michael showed very early his potential.
Yeah, the idea was for them to get him to a high school that their children were going to. So by playing athletics would have been an easier way for him to get through it. He didn't test well. He struggled, according to the movie. So Michael Oher's deal is that he feels he knew all along that they knew he had never been adopted. And the Tuohys attorneys say that couldn't be because Oher put out a book in 2011, which again, I didn't make any money from. Just being upfront about it. But he explains that he knew he was never adopted in that book.
Oh, interesting.
So that was 2011, and now the crux of this right now is that he was never adopted. So he's dragging that out for whatever reason. Oher also said that he did not make any money from the movie. He also refused to cash small profit checks that he got from the family. Now you see, he's saying he did get some money from them, but he wouldn't cash the check.
So everything ran through their business, it sounds like. Tuohy Foundation, maybe if you were paying Michael Oher for something, you had to pay the Tuohy Foundation. And then they cut a check to Michael?
It would seem that was the case.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I surmise that maybe he just didn't like the long hours it took to cash checks. It can be very draining. And this is where I think I could help him. Because for a significant fee, I'll do that.
You will wait in line.
My motto is, no check left behind. Get them all. Put them through. Let's do it.
Do you remember the Seinfeld episode where Jerry's hand got cramped because
that's right.
His Nana sent him
$3 a check or something. And I think actually what ruined his hand was when $3 checks from a Japanese.
That's right. Yes, you got it right.
Residual.
Yes.
And you kind of look, I know. I've actually had checks like that. Yes. There's a bar in Studio City called Residuals where if you bring a horrible residual check, they'll still give you a full drink.
Adorable.
Isn't that the greatest?
It's just so great.
I have used that.
Have you really?
I absolutely have.
Oh, cool.
Because when you get $1.13, there's nothing you can really do with that.
Residual in my neighborhood, and I've been once, but it's...
Is it still up and running?
I think it is. I think
that's where we're going right after this.
Cool. Woo. So Michael is now saying, I'm upset because I never really was adopted by the Tuohys, who took me in, and they got most of the money.
He's using that side of it, and what his claim right now is he says, I want $15 million. Wow. Yeah, $15 million. Now, I say to you that he knows the movie made $300 million.
Correct.
And that's exactly 5% of the box office. And this is a number you come up with on a bar stool. You're sitting there going, that's a lot of money. I should make at least 5% of this. That's where that, I swear to God, that's where that $15 million thing came from. In reality, the box office stuff like that doesn't really have a lot to do with after the story's been paid off. And the screenwriters have been made. Yeah, the idea of going in and getting that money again is really ridiculous.
The screenwriter, and I'm sure the director, have never seen that amount of money.
Right.
And Sandra, I'm sure, do you like the way I say Sandra Bullock?
Oh, that's really nice.
Sandra Bullock, I'm sure, got a big payday. Tim McGraw, who played Mr. Tuohy.
Yeah.
I'm sure got a lot of money. Everybody else got bupkis.
Sure. Yeah, that's the point. Had Michael had the foresight to direct and produce the movie, he would have made a little bit more.
There you go.
I don't know why I didn't do that. There was some chatting from the father, John Tuohy. So the father, John Tuohy, has said he only made, quote, $14,000 from the Michael Lewis book. And Michael Lewis being the author. What did you find on Michael Lewis?
I saw in Entertainment Weekly, this is what Michael Lewis, the author, responded to Michael Oher's lawsuit. And he said, everybody should be mad at the Hollywood studio system. Michael Oher should join the writer's strike. It's outrageous how Hollywood accounting, but the money is not in the Tuohys' pockets. So Michael Lewis, who wrote the book, I believe is saying the studios have the money, not the Tuohys. Tuohys got money, but they're not
It's not
sharing
millions.
the millions and
Right.
millions and millions.
Right.
Correct.
So, according to the writer, Michael's idea of the money that's available is way off,
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Well,
I shouldn't say correct.
as far as we know. So the father says he only gets $14,000. Everybody got $14,000 from the payment from the Michael Lewis book. The father went on to say, quote, "We were never offered money. We never asked for money. My money is well documented. You can look up how much I sold my company for, and the last thing I needed was $40,000 from a movie." Now, really?
Oh, I want to slap them.
That's the last thing you need? Because I think you might need a PR professional to grease up some of the things you say in public. I mean, come on, man. Why don't you just stretch yourself farther from the common man and the rest of us go, oh, Lord.
Yeah, that's going to go over great with the jury. Okay.
Meanwhile, the family's son, Sean Jr., he estimated that he has received $60,000 to $70,000, quote, over the course of the last 4 years or 5 years. From the movie. I know. Why could it possibly be $70,000 at this stage of the game? That was from 2009.
That I'm
Who makes that?
I'm very confused.
Yeah, I'm too confused too. It seems like he's making more than his dad is. This guy, this Sean Jr. guy, I'm going to get as an agent because, wow. And it seems like there's a whole bunch of money floating around, just available to anybody who doesn't really care about it, just showing up for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that would ever work. And again, for the record, I have not made any money for this movie yet.
It's interesting to me because he's suing the two. He should be suing the studio.
Yes.
And using a forensic accountant.
Because, I mean, that's the way to go about it. But the seesaw thing that's going on.
Right. This
he wants
comes
to
in with
hurt-
your hurt.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the deal is they could go after Fox for the money.
Fox is the studio that made it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get an accountant, you get a lawyer, you chase down the cash because that's where the cash is. It seems only emotional to attack the people that really didn't have the money.
You're so right.
So I think there's a hurt there that's going on.
Yeah.
And he wants them to pay for something. So the good news is that this celebration of human beings caring for one another, opening their hearts with love and support for their fellow man, whether he was a successful, high-paid professional football player or not, is going to be a long, drawn-out, and hateful fight in the media for the years to come.
Yeah.
This is America.
Even cable news was talking about it.
Yeah. People are emotionally connected to it because they want to think, and this is a good thing to put in your mind, whenever you see a story that certainly spins this way, this, kind of a rags to riches story or a guy coming from nowhere, like a Rocky story in that case. And especially one where they'll put a tag on it that says, from a real life situation or however
Right.
they say it. The movie people are going to do what they have to do to make the movie.
Right.
Right.
Now, I remember when I first heard about The Blind Side, it kind of was out there in the world. We were kind of getting a little tired of white savior stories because Michael is black,
Right.
Young black man. And so I was kind of like, oh, do I want to go see another movie, white savior, young black man? Went to go see it. I'm not going to say I loved it because I can't remember if I loved it, but I really liked it and it teared up and I was going, oh man, the story really should have been told. It is a great story.
Part of the story is the birth of self. This guy had no self. And by anyone believing in him, he was able to open up, study enough to get through the classes, go to college, play football, and go to the NFL. Which, here's another question. Do you get nothing for being in the NFL? Part of it might be that he has run out of dough.
Oh, I did not know
So again,
that.
this may be a very thick.
Okay. And for the young writers out there, do you want to explain what dough is?
bread man. Bread after fire. It's a hipster meaning money.
Exactly. Yeah. So when I first heard about this lawsuit, I was thinking, oh, there you go. It wasn't the Hollywood movie we thought it was. This young black man was being taken advantage of.
Right.
But now I'm thinking it is the Hurts because he's going after the Tuohys. They don't have the deep pockets.
Well, they do.
Well, but financially, they are very wealthy, but not a studio has deeper pockets.
I think the question is going to be, and this is going to be really interesting, someone's going to come up with the amount of money that was actually paid in. It's going to take a while, but somebody's going to have to go in and say, okay, how much money did the Tuohys get?
Right.
And how much of that did they send to him?
Right.
That's going to be the end of it. If they did something wrong, if they did a criminal type thing, they'll have to pay a lot to him.
Yes.
So that's the thing that's actually hanging. But the motive, we're not going to ever really be sure of.
I hope they televise it, like Johnny Depp and...
Yeah, this would be a good one to follow.
That would be a very good one to follow. You've changed my mind, actually, because I immediately thought he was getting ripped off. And maybe it's a bit of everything, but definitely putting that emotional part on it makes everything click in my mind, and it makes it all make so much more sense.
There's still one other thing wrong with this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Of course, we've heard some online contributors in social media who think and suggest that Sandra Bullock should give her Oscar back for
What?
this. I know. These people, I have some terrible news about Santa Claus. If you think Sandra Bullock should give this up, elves and the whole business, we'll discuss it later. But this is completely ridiculous. I'm always amazed at how people, many of them the general public, believe that actors have really anything to do with the roles they play except doing them well while the camera's moving, right?
Exactly.
That's really just their job. They cannot, a guy that plays Hitler is not responsible for World War II. He just isn't. And Sandra did a fantastic job on this. And I mean, I watched a couple of scenes before this. She was deep in it. It's pretty great.
She was good in this movie.
It's really good.
When she gives that speech to Michael about the way you blindside people who went after SJ, the little boy. Oh my goodness. And that's what you need to do on the football field. It was really good. And I also like the way her character was just like, come on, get in the car. I'm just taking you. Yeah. I'm not, it's cold. You don't have a jacket. She just get in the car. I really liked it.
Shall I drop a name?
Please do.
The name is Sandra Bullock. My wife was Palsy's. She was a costumer for Sandra's first TV show.
Working it?
Something. It might be Working Girl.
It could have been Working Girl. Yeah. Maybe was it the takeoff of the movie, Working Girl?
I think it was.
Which we will do a whole podcast on Working Girl. I love that movie. How interesting.
Yeah. So much so, she was so nice to us that we went over to her house for a kegger.
Get out of town.
Yeah.
Fun.
This was back when she was just a gal trying to make her way. So I do sort of know her.
You do?
I hung out with her a couple of days, and I like the idea of how different this role was than her personality. Really different. She was really zoomed into this character. So I have the rare firsthand knowledge saying, wow. I remember we do that pretty often with her. We love to watch something she's done because we have at least some, experience with it.
Right.
And we couldn't be happier that she...
I was in the same room with Sandy Bullock.
There you go.
My friend Darlene Chan produced a thing called Love. River Phoenix. Actually, not River Phoenix last movie, because he did make one after it, but it never came out because I don't know if it was the edit, but he had passed away. So it was a screening of a thing called Love on the Paramount lot, and Sandy was there. I just stared at her. I didn't speak to her or anything. I mean, I didn't stare at her all night, but she's little. She's little, right?
Your name's still on a list, I got to tell you. Don't know her name.
But Peter Bogdanovich directed that movie. So he was there and he did a little speech ahead of time. And he had with him a gallon jug of water. And just a big old plastic supermarket gallon of water that he drank from.
He drank a gallon of, looked like a milk carton.
The see-through plastic jug. Yeah.
Wow.
He just went up to I think there's like a little stage and just talked about the movie for a little while. And he had the jug with him up on stage.
This was before water was popular, right? So he was a trender.
He was a trender, that Peter Bogdanovich.
Way to go, Peter.
Yes.
Just find your own way, man.
So I'm fascinated with Peter because of Dorothy Stratton, who was murdered, Star 90,
Right.
Merrill Hemingway. And then Peter Bogdanovich went on to marry Dorothy's younger sister. And I'm blanking on her name, but she was there also. So that was a big night for me.
We just had a couple of beers with Sandra. So
No. Your story.
No.
You win because that was real friendship. Mine was I just had a pass to get onto the Paramount lot. That was the big thing.
Well, the funniest part about something like that is, and I have run into plenty of people that have done well, and it's weird to watch that happen in a way.
Oh, we're around famous people all the time, but you're in Sandra Bullock's house.
Well, it was
a fun night.
a rented house in Encino. See, this was before she was making.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
she's although I think
she's just a working girl.
Yeah, exactly. But it's one of those things where also people think that if you're on TV, you've got a house in Malibu.
Yeah, that's not true.
No, TV's a tough, nasty little world.
Yeah.
You got to survive through that.
And also our prayers to Sandra because she did lose her partner recently.
Oh.
He passed away. So no, Sandra Bullock should not give back her Oscar.
I think the interesting part of this story is going to be finding out the motive of Michael Oher. That's what this is going to end up being. What was it? Hurt or cash?
That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristen O'Verne. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adamitis. Music by Ethan Stoller. That's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like, and thrive. Till we get to hang out again, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards. Executive producer, Kristen O'Verne. Producers, Terry Sampson and Sandy Adamitis. Music by Ethan Stoller.